All right. Well, hi, hello, and welcome to Unraveling Core to Cloud Data Protection with HPE and Zerto Software Defined Solutions. Now, today's exciting webinar is sponsored by Hewlett Packard Enterprise and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Jess Steinbach. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I'm so happy that I get to be your moderator for this conversation because we all know by now how critical data is to our organization, whether we're talking about maintaining our workflows and basic day-to-day functionality, or we're planning ahead. We're talking about growth, scalability, agility. We're looking at those big, awesome organizational goals. Data is the foundation that enables it all, which means protecting it has never been more important. And let's be honest, it has also never been more challenging. So that's the tough bit. How do we find the right data protection solution that can meet our organizational needs and work with our complex infrastructures, core to cloud? The good news is today we will get some expert guidance from the incredible team at HPE that will help us sort through this important decision. We have a great chat planned ahead. I cannot wait to bring out our incredible expert speaker today. So I'm going to start out with just a few housekeeping points to help you get the most out of your time here with us. And first, we're going to start out by heading over to the question section of your webinar console. Now, this is the best place to get involved, to get interactive, post those questions, those comments, all the ideas you have rattling around in your head today. And I know there's a bunch of them, and I know that they are great. So get them out into that questions tab. If you haven't already done so, we can give it a little bit of a test run right now. You can give us a hi, hello, a wave. I see Rakesh. Hey, Gilbert. Hey, Ali. Good to see you. Jorge, Danielle, Tony, Morteza. We got a whole crew here with us today. Keep those highs and hellos coming in. I want to hear from all of you. And our incredible expert presenter, who a lot of you will recognize, loves these interactive conversations. So please do get those questions in, because when we wrap up the presentation, we're going to spend some time getting into your questions and discussing what your needs are. So make sure you get those questions into us today. Now, that questions window is also the best place to reach out and let us know if you do have any technical issues during the session. I do want to remind you, if you forgot, that a browser refresh is usually going to clear up most of the tech gremlins, the little guys that get in there. So a browser refresh, that's step one. But let's say that those gremlins, someone fed them after midnight, and boy, are they clinging on, and you're really having a little bit of trouble today. Just post a message in the questions window, and our team will be there to help you out. The last thing I want to point out in your audience console is the handouts tab. So head on over. You can check out some cool resources and follow-ups to our conversation today. I promise you are going to want to open those tabs. You're going to want to hold on to those, because we've got a lot of great content coming your way. And those handouts are a great way to jog your memory after we wrap, to help bring this content to other people in your organization. So be sure that you spend some time there. And if that cool content wasn't enough to get you pumped up and excited for our day here together, we also have a $250 Amazon gift card as a prize drawing at the end of our webinar. Now, you do need to be here in live attendance in order to win that prize, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you are not sure what those T's and C's are, no problem. We have them linked for you in the handouts tab that we were just chatting about, so you can click in, head on over there, scroll down, you'll find the T's and C's waiting for you there. All right, well, one more cool prize ahead of us today. We have that best question gift card. So that means that throughout our session today, we'll be collecting all of the questions that you asked. Now, not only will we try to get to as many as we can during our live session, and we will get you follow-ups after we wrap if we don't get to your question during our Q&A. Also, asking that question does enter you to win the $50 Amazon gift card as our best question card. We're going to look at all the questions asked after we wrap up, and we will follow up with that prize winner. So get those questions in, because you will get a gold star from me for being an excellent participant, and you could possibly win that $50 best question gift card. All right, my friends. Well, I think that is enough of housekeeping, and we are ready to get into this awesome conversation we have planned for you today. I am very excited to introduce you all to our expert presenter. Again, a familiar face here, so you know we're all in for a treat already, and that is, of course, Anthony Dutra, Technical Marketing Engineer, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us again today. I know you have a ton of great info, lots of helpful insights in store for us, as always. And we want to leave some time for questions at the end of your presentation. So, Anthony, let's get this show on the road. I'm going to hand things right on over to you. Take it away.
All right. And thank you so much, Jess. Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Dutra. I'm a technical marketing engineer here with Zerto, a Hewlett Packard Enterprise company. And I cannot be more excited today to be talking to you all about unraveling core to cloud data protection with both HPE and Zerto software defined solutions. Why this topic is very much so interesting to me is it's because it's so very much relevant in all of our lives today, and it's something that a lot of our customers, and part of my job is listening to them and kind of hearing what those problems are. We're hearing a lot of the many of the same things, and these troubling times really these three main things come to focus in these mainly troubling times, which is why we are offering data protection for such a vast array of sort of many different solutions. So the first thing that we hear a lot of is, again, cyber threats. I don't think I could go a day without hearing in the news just another ransomware attack that happened to, whether it be a hospital, a casino, another large enterprise whose data has been stolen, and it affects every single person that is online today. These aren't just willy-nilly sort of hackers that are in their parents' basement doing these attacks. These are very sophisticated, mainly state-sponsored attacks or organized cyber crime units, and they are leveraging technologies like AI and like ransomware as a service in order to get to your data in a lot more easier manner, and really exploit vulnerabilities that we're seeing at a much larger scale day in and day out. Paired this with a lot of the many different unplanned disruptions that we typically tend to see, right? These acts of gods. I think just the other day in New Jersey, we had a 4.8 scale earthquake, something that you would never think here on the East Coast would happen, and it was felt all the way up here into Boston. And right, while that didn't cause any necessarily physical disruptions to any data centers that I was aware of, it can very much be the case when it is something more down south like tornadoes or just flooding. There's a lot of many different natural disasters as well as human errors and hardware component failures that can be unplanned and cause a disruption to your business, costing you downtime and money overall. And then there's this big jump to the cloud that I think's been happening for over a decade now, and nobody really can still sort of pin down what exactly it is and how do we adopt it in a most effective manner that's less complex. Right, the cloud is basically someone else's data center at a very, very high level. So, what does the data governance and sovereignty look like when I do store my application data in a public cloud provider? Where does it live, and why should that matter to me? Well, because there are a lot of sort of vendor lock-in problems that a lot of organizations are seeing. They are concerned about the compliance and auditing of much more personal data, right, that we talked about in the beginning, that is more susceptible to cyber threats. And there's just a general skill gap in a lot of the IT engineers out there who don't necessarily know the public cloud technologies, right? You have to adopt public cloud services, refactor your applications from on-premise to these different public cloud, like I mentioned before, services themselves. So all of this is not easy to do. It's coming with a lot of many different complications. And if you were really to listen to a lot of organizations out there today, and as I would imagine many of you who joined today, you are most likely facing these at a day-to-day basis, and you would very much would like to be prepared in the event that something does go down, and you are ready to basically protect yourself in the event of an attack. So these many different new threats require a modern data protection solution that is basically a full portfolio that will cover you across all of these many different tiers. So obviously, we want to make sure that all workloads running in the data center are covered, from the physical servers themselves to the virtual workloads running on top of them, like VMs, all of the containerized and database instances that are running within those virtual machines. So there are a lot of these many different components or workloads within the data center that need to be protected. And it's good to have one organization that offers a portfolio for all those many different workloads across them, all those many different tiers. So all these applications, databases, some of our virtual machines themselves are performing or actually make up different applications themselves. And some applications are much more important than other applications. Like our workday or payroll is much more important than, let's say, some of my folders on my PC themselves. So you want your modern data protection portfolio to be able to cover all of that. Some do specialize in, let's say, much more mission critical, higher level, and much more kind of complicated virtualized infrastructure, which is very accessible within this portfolio today, to a lot more easy to use backup software, which we do provide also here as well. And then finally, you want a sort of modern data protection portfolio that is going to cover all those service level agreements. So your tiers of applications that you're looking to protect, those mission critical ones, you most likely want them to be available as close to real time as possible to come back online. You might have other workloads that, okay, we could probably lose a few hours or maybe even a day of work because they aren't accessed as frequently. Let's put them on a different service level so it cuts back on our cost in terms of what we choose for data protection. But altogether, we're able to provide 24/7 availability for all those workloads running in the data center and minimizing that data loss or downtime overall. So the best way to do so is through these complementary IT practices. Again, having that broad and vast portfolio that is part of your IT strategy. And you are basically going in between recovering between minutes or days, which you would do with a disaster recovery strategy. And you would then look to for a backup to complement that DR, maybe hours, and then being able to retain that data for about weeks or so. And then if you're looking for a real, much more longer term retention strategy, but want data to recover from that may be days or weeks old, then an archive solution would be best for you. But obviously, no. And then on top of disaster recovery and backup, there is this new sort of emerging idea of cyber recovery, where we're able to bring both of those worlds together into a fully all designed one solution to recover from, like, let's say, a ransomware attack. So you have the best of both worlds within it. But obviously, what you want at the end of the day is a complementary, all of these practices complementing one another, not necessarily running into each other. And what you're able to do is provide yourself recoverability at a breadth and depth and at scale. So end-to-end data protection does start from these sort of two distinct design centers itself. Disaster recovery, which from what I mentioned in the beginning, are those mission critical tier 0, tier 1, 2 applications that require very, very low recovery point objectives. We got to get this database that has our workers' information or workers' data back up now, not in 2 days, or recover that a day old. It needs to be first and faster recovery. It needs to be optimized for performance. And this is really what's ideal in a resilient situation, or what you consider cyber resilience, because it's much more operationally efficient to come back online leveraging disaster recovery software. Now, it also is important to pair this with the design sort of thinking of backup, where you're basically taking all of the applications, every single thing that you can, pulling it into a large repository. So when you do recover, you do have to recover everything pretty much at once, giving you an average recovery point time. But you are able to save a lot of money because you may be storing this on much more cheaper storage. The software itself really isn't too cost prohibitive. So it is really ideal for much more slower recovery, but is good for retaining that information and being able to recover from a gold state. Whereas disaster recovery, as I always like to say, is much more operationally efficient and get you back online. But again, you want a platform, you want a modern data protection portfolio that allows you to converge both of these into a simple, easy to use solution. And as you can imagine, literally, this is what I get to talk about every day, being here at HPE and working with Zerto technology. From tier one all the way up to tier four applications, we have solutions that cover everything. And it gives you the recoverability of seconds all the way up to days or years with just the many different options that we have to offer. And a lot of them that I'll be diving into today. And one that we'll unfortunately miss during this presentation, but I think it'll be during our next one, Jess. We'll dive into the Zerto Cyber Resilience Vault, which, as I was mentioning before, it gives you that cyber recovery and that true best of both worlds of both DR and backup for ransomware scenarios. So again, with our unified portfolio running on both best-in-class hardware and leveraging the software-only solution that is Zerto, we have come up with a true modern data protection portfolio that is comprehensive, easy to adopt, and I will dive into a little bit more now. Let's kick it off with disaster recovery. We'll talk about Zerto itself, and then what I've been very working with now for a lot of my career, and I've been really excited about is HPE GreenLake for disaster recovery. So Zerto for virtual machines, Zerto for the cloud. If you have heard of Zerto before, basically it is synonymous with disaster recovery within the virtualized landscape. So what you're able to do is with your VMs, group them together on premise into one application centric protection group, and you can replicate them between 2 on-premise sites, 3 on-premise sites, from on-premise to the public cloud back onto on-premise. You have these many different ways of replicating or using this DR software to get you back online as quickly as possible. So it's it's hypervisor level based replication. So again, software only. And what Zerto has enabled, thousands of customers for years now is this recoverability amongst these many different platforms, and is even used quite frequently as a disaster recovery as a service with over the 350 plus MSPs that are part of or that leverage Zerto as part of that service themselves. So Zerto is, when you think DR, is that solution within the portfolio that enables that flexibility, scalability, and recoverability amongst these many different areas where your virtual workloads might be running. What makes Zerto different? I already started going into it a little bit before, but is that continuous data protection, or CDP. We use what's called a journal in order to in order to track the changes of the virtual machines that you're protecting from, whether it's on-premise to the cloud or to another site. And what that allows you to do is, let's say a ransomware attack happened on-premise, you can roll back 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 minutes, all the way up to however long, it's 30 days, the journal goes all the way up to, but like almost like a DVR. You can like rewind back to those different points in time and recover basically within seconds and get your applications going at a different site. All of this is automated and orchestrated without you having to do anything except for setting up the virtual protection groups, hitting the failover button, hitting the move button. That's pretty much it. And then Zerto even generates a PDF report afterwards of every single line of thing that it did in the background to let you know how long it took, and proving the recovery point objective that it is also reporting within the system itself. And not to mention, your failovers can be non-disruptive to your production environment testing, because Zerto just operates outside of your production network, and you can basically isolate your test environments, your test failovers, without having to interrupt anything in your day-to-day processes. It is delivered, oh my gosh, in many multi-cloud fashions, both in the public cloud for Zerto in cloud for AWS, Zerto for AWS, Zerto for Azure, then private and hybrid cloud, where we are now baked into the HPE GreenLake platform as HPE GreenLake for disaster recovery. I'll dive into that in a little bit, but all of this is given into an easy deployed, flexible architecture that provides analytics and reporting on the back end as well. This is that unique journaling. Man, I wish I did not get too excited and dive into it ahead of time, but it does give me a chance to re-talk about it here. Zerto is known for this ability to, again, give you that DVR-like function to recover from an attack in the event, in a more operational fashion. So you can see here that a disaster occurred at 10 a.m. You can again roll back literally till 9:59 and 55 seconds before that attack happened. Compare this to other sort of backup or data protection sort of technologies that will do snapshotting, which is usually about hours of protection. So you're not as frequently going to have those many different checkpoints to roll back to, or a complete backup, which is, again, we're trying to pull so much stuff, you might get a day of data loss within it. So you're looking for that dynamic operational recovery, leveraging Zerto, then you're able to do so with this solution overall. I did almost forget to mention that there is with it that inline encryption detection that we have recently released with Zerto 10. What this will do is those protected virtual machines that you have told Zerto to replicate for you, it will also check within those VMs, hey, is anything looking funky with all of the reads and writes going on within it? And is that getting encrypted at a super high pace? And if it is, then Zerto will actually tell you, hey, this group of VMs or this VM within this group looks funky. You should roll back to this clean point in time. You may be under a potential attack. So from an architecture standpoint, if you're a super nerdy person, right, you want to see all the components that makes out this Zerto DR architecture, this is it here. It's very lightweight in terms of how it's managed and operated. You have on each of your sites a Zerto virtual manager that allows you to do all of that cool replication and detection on the back end. And then on each of your ESXi hosts, you'll have these VRAs or virtual replication appliances that are doing all the replication, and they're like the workhorses doing all that for you. So actually, if this site goes down, you can manage Zerto, right, and recover from your DR site here, because everything is in this sort of small footprint, low overhead scale out architecture that is decentralized in the event of a disaster. So everything is operated from the Zerto Virtual Manager. You got everything provisioned for you, and you're allowed to really dive into a very low RPO and RTO in the event of a complete disaster. And we're deeply integrated, as I mentioned before, with all of these other platforms as well. We have replication with our CDP from on-premise to AWS and even back down. And then we also have Zerto in cloud for AWS, which allows you to replicate between regions within AWS itself if you are just running EC2 instances. Same thing for Microsoft Azure to from Azure itself using their native resources, and then cross-region within the cloud provider as well. Obviously, VMware now with a lot of changing licensing models, being much more focused in being that cloud provider on premise. We have and have been supporting for vCenter itself, as well as cloud, vCloud Director, and we're able to also protect virtual machines on the VMware instances of the public clouds. So Azure, VMware Public Cloud Service, Google, for VMware Solutions, IBM, and Oracle as well. And then lastly, simple scalable, SaaS-based disaster recovery with HPE GreenLake for disaster recovery. This is, and I'm very excited, Zerto inside of the HPE GreenLake platform, providing you that same continuous data protection, but now managed alongside the rest of your hybrid, private, public cloud environment that you have running inside of HPE GreenLake itself. You can see a very cool score there called a resilient score. So this is giving you an update on that sort of global DR site management that you have through the GreenLake dashboard, and says to you, hey, this is how healthy your DR strategy is between these two sites. Maybe you should do this in order to improve your score and make sure that you can recover as quickly as possible. So all of this is integrated, basically Zerto, into the HPE GreenLake disaster recovery platform, delivered as a simple SaaS-based DR solution. And now you can integrate this DR alongside all of the other hybrid cloud services that are part of the HPE GreenLake platform itself. Going into this a little bit more, basically what this slide says at a very high level is this is Zerto, but within the HPE and managed within the HPE GreenLake cloud platform. Basically everything through the cloud console, you can simply automate and will orchestrate all of your on-premise components all through that one centralized site. You can manage a replication between not only your own sites, but maybe customer owned sites as well. And you can make sure that everything from on-premise to a lot of the public cloud providers that are coming soon is happening in a efficient, monitored, and metered way with HPE GreenLake for disaster recovery itself. So honestly, these two solutions are only possible with HPE and Zerto. Zerto is battle tested continuous data protection since 2012, and you can see some of the numbers here that are quite staggering. The number of virtual machines that we protect and the average amount of time that it takes these virtual machines to be recovered. I think United Airlines is just mind-boggling. 4,100 virtual machines in 8 seconds. To think of the scale of being able to do so, it automatically orchestrated on the back end for you. And I just think of the importance of United Airlines, just IT environment and why it requires that low of time. I mean, I hate when a plane is canceled for some ridiculous reason. That is, I can see something happening on the IT end being a reason. It's good to know that really 8 seconds of recovery time with a lot of these VMs is what they're seeing. So we've proven, this disaster recovery solution with HPE and Zerto does have proven results, and it has been battle tested for quite some time now. All right, that is that first tier of that sort of design data center. Let's get that sort of data protection design, I should say, of let's get everything back online, operationally efficient using DR. Now there's the other half where we talk about backup itself. All right, let's try to pull in as much as possible in case of the absolute worst case scenario. Let's maybe pull in our lower tier stuff or maybe some business critical applications, which these two products are designed to specifically protect. And let's make sure that we have that extra layer of recoverability with this sort of backup solution overall. So with HPE in particular, you are able to have this simple, cost-effective backup, backup solutions to take the hassle out of your backup. And this allows you to achieve what we usually call a 3-2-1 strategy. So having 3 copies of your data, 2 places, you have this sort of flexibility within our portfolio in order to back up these many different components to these many different places, giving you a much more, a much more layered approach to data protection overall. The first one that I want to mention is Zerto Backup for SaaS powered by Keepit. This is a comprehensive backup for your Microsoft 365, Salesforce, uh, Microsoft Azure Active Directory, Zendesk, Google Workspace, so much more. Basically, this technology uses Zerto on the back end in order to provide those SaaS products that most likely your company uses today, a secure, encrypted, and immutable backup that is fully redundant, multi-regional supported, a full SaaS service that really protects the business critical data within your environment today. So again, you're not having to manage a lot. Leveraging the software, you can back up everything that you see from those logos there on screen with this solution. And what I like about it is like everybody knows, I gotta have my email backed up. I'm in Salesforce that has some important data that should be backed up. This solution gives you that full breadth and depth for those particular technologies. And then we have the real winner here, HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery. We've been talking a lot about on-premise technology because, again, a lot of stuff runs on-premise. This is that sort of SaaS-based backup for your VMware vSphere environment, as well as the public cloud within AWS that allows you to back up and retain really whatever you're running within those environments in the lowest cost, shortened window, and a much more streamlined fashion overall. So again, you're in the GreenLake console, managing everything alongside maybe your disaster recovery scenario, your disaster recovery strategy as well. And what you're able to do, again, delivered through this simple SaaS-based solution, is back everything up from SQL servers to virtual machines running on premise, the data stores, to all of your instances running within AWS, like EC2, EKS, RDS. I'm sure I'll run into a slide where it explains everything, but you do really get the full breadth and depth of what would be running your on-premise applications or applications in AWS public cloud using this backup and recovery technology. It's efficient. We're known for this sort of source side deduplication and compression, the way that it sends the backups using the HPE GreenLake and backup and recovery technology is much more efficient for, making sure that you're not having to pay any high egress fees and you're very much aware of those cloud costs, but still taking advantage of that cloud scale. So you're not, again, worried about, oh my God, am I going to run up a huge cloud bill at the end of the day? Everything is predictable, scalable, and of course, because of that source side dedupe and compression, much more cost effective to back up and store overall. It's secure in the fact that, like a lot of solutions, it uses encryption all the time, both at rest when the data does land wherever it's being backed up to, as well as in flight when it's being sent to the backup device. It is immutable. So again, basically what that means for anybody out there is that doesn't know is the fact that it cannot be changed pretty much no matter what. So this gives you a gold copy of that data that you can maybe make off into another copy that is then changed, right? But you'll always have that one immutable, never changeable set of that data that is available to you. A lot of cool dual authorization technologies built in as well. So obviously, if it does require that level of security, you do have the ability to allow two people to make a lot of decisions when it comes to backup and recovery as well. A lot of things are air gapped, so making that physical disconnection and ensuring that there's no bad actors that are able to get into this backup. We do have a lot of technologies underlying this software that provides that. And again, it's all built on the HPE GreenLake platform, allowing you to coexist alongside a lot of the other great services that live there today, but also provide you that level of security, access, authentication, things that are provided within HPE GreenLake to add an extra layer of security to this backup and recovery platform. And of course, it is effortless to kind of set up and use. There they are, right? You can literally back up pretty much anything that is on premise or running within AWS. It is effortless to do so, and again, delivered through a console and a sort of SaaS based experience. It is easy to configure the protection policies of what you're looking to protect, because again, it's all done through the dashboard itself, and you can apply these global policies to protection groups. So you're again just adding much more layers, many different dimensions of protection to these many different resources, allowing them to be backed up from pretty much virtually anywhere. And it's fast, secure protection for everything that I've been mentioning before, from vSphere to Microsoft SQL servers, and everything running, a lot of the things running within the AWS public cloud as well. RDS, EBS, EC2 instances, and even more recently, we just released Elastic Kubernetes Service, or EKS itself. How it works, again, all through that single, simple SaaS control plane, built-in automation and orchestration to do these backups. Long story short, what this slide shows is through the HPE GreenLake for Backup and Recovery console, you can tell AWS, hey, we're grouping these virtual resources together, and we're going to back them up at this point in time, and we're going to be doing this, this, and this. All of that is managed through the HPE console and allows you to facilitate that long-term retention of those public cloud instances, and then pair it with, as you see everything on the left, with that you have running on premise as well. So very simple to use solution, and spans across multiple environments. So yeah, right. Something that I've been mentioning overall. It's really a unified data protection solution with HPE GreenLake. Both of these SaaS backup and DR solutions can be managed within the same console. Again, you want a nice layered approach to your data protection strategies. And this is exactly what you have in a simple SaaS-based solutions delivered right through the web. So very cool in terms of what this can provide overall. And that's what we're able to provide with both Zerto and HPE solutions over, and and really what I've been saying throughout this whole presentation is data resilience with depth and breadth. So you have layers of protection, whether it's from an unplanned, more reactive scenario or a planned, more proactive scenario. We've touched on everything from the hardware failures, natural disasters, everything on the left here. You would definitely think of a more of a disaster recovery. Hey, I need to be up as quick as possible. I need to be sure that we are operationally efficient. Production is running now, especially in case the physical site goes down completely, to much more maybe more planned and might require a much more longer term compliance archiving, or just making a backup to then maybe keep for data center consolidation. There are a lot of different use cases within that we need today, and that can be used within this portfolio. And HPE and Zerto together have everything to cover this full spectrum here. All right, if you want to experience HPE and Zerto firsthand, I will definitely suggest that you take a look at some of these options here. And what I definitely would drive you towards are those middle ones, the hands-on labs for Zerto, so zerto.com/labs, and then testdrive.greenlake.hpe.com for anything else. And then also go ahead and read some reviews out there about all of our data protection solutions and see how they can help you get going today. All right, I would love to thank you for the time. And Jess, if we could, can we jump right into questions with everybody?
100%. We definitely can. Now, I have very quickly, though, put up a question for all of the audience members. In order for them to get their questions answered, first, they have to earn it, Anthony. They have to click on this wonderful poll that we have up on the screen for them all. What is the additional information that you would like to get about the HPE solution? So think about what would be most helpful for you, that data sheet, that white paper, do you want a case study, whatever would be most valuable to wherever you're at in your research journey. Click on the screen right now. Let HPE know how they can follow up with you. While you're doing that, we will reward you with a lively Q&A session. How's that sound, Anthony?
Yes, let's get it.
Okay, I'm going to start with this one here. How does Zerto handle virtual machine replication across different storage types or vendors when the source and target sites have dissimilar storage architectures?
Yeah, absolutely. So Zerto itself is storage agnostic. We operate strictly at the hypervisor level. So any of the virtual machines that we are protecting, we don't really care what the underlying storage platform is, how you kind of got that storage up to the server itself. If your hypervisor sees what your hypervisor sees and what you need in the virtual machine to be protected is what Zerto replicates and protects. So yep, completely storage agnostic.
And would that also cover different geographic diversity for data centers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So like if it's I guess in that respect the question is more in regards to if it's farther away, right? Is there any sort of limitations to Zerto's replication? It's actually not that much, 5 megabits per second. So it can be a very, very small amount of transmission. Like let's say you're going across the world. So replication still does occur globally and at a scalable way in order to meet those low RPOs and stuff.
Perfect. All right. So is all cloud protection systems nowadays, do they have a default protection for PII data?
Yeah, so for personal information,
Yeah.
that's particularly what PII stands for. The answer to that question is yes, right? So it's really not like every single data protection solution will help you protect that data itself. Things like encryption, like Zerto does in transit, and then obviously you should probably have set up at the secondary site. Wherever you're landing to, have encryption there as well. Making sure that permissions and everything like that within the applications that you're protecting with Zerto are tightened up to. So making sure vulnerabilities and exposing people's data is obviously part of any data protection tool, but nothing specifically that calls out to that. We do help with making sure that your data is safe, and personal information is one of those batches of data that we do quite often. So.
All right, I want to move a little bit. I'm going to combine a few questions here because we got a couple questions, like one from Michael wondering about the DR strategy with Google Cloud, and I got a couple other questions kind of coming in around DR within public cloud. So let's just talk about various cloud DR options.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So to answer that one right off the bat, Google Cloud natively isn't supported with Zerto. It is supported if you use Google Cloud VMware solution. So it's kind of Google Cloud on the front end. So we do support that, but we natively support AWS as well as Azure, which I mentioned in the presentation. And then a lot of our MSP providers, we have over, well, I mentioned we have over 350 plus. They have their own sort of independent cloud provider and DRaaS solutions that they could offer as well. So you have many different targets to kind of replicate to, and in order to ensure that those layers of protection, not yet Google Cloud native, but hey, maybe one day.
Okay, so we did get a question about that. Are there plans for public cloud support as a DR target for GreenLake for disaster recovery?
Oh, awesome. Oh, good. We did get that. Yes. So there is support for Azure coming within this year. So Azure will be a target soon, and I know we're in talks with AWS. So, but you can imagine those two, which Zerto does natively now, will be next up.
Sweet. So cool things coming.
Yep, absolutely.
You were just chatting about Google. Would anything be different? So does Zerto backup for SaaS include support for Google Workspace?
Oh, yes. So Zerto Backup for SaaS does include Google Workspace. That's a little bit different itself. Zerto Backup for SaaS, powered by a company called Keep It, super cool.
Basically, they took the Zerto solution, OEM'd it, and made like this 4 immutable copies within across their independent cloud. Basically, they are SaaS backup for SaaS solutions using the Zerto solution. So they do Google Workspace, Entra ID now, Microsoft Active Directory, whatever you want to call it, Microsoft 365, so anything across Teams and Word, etc. There's a lot of good sort of backup for those SaaS products with this solution, and we're seeing a lot of people adopt it because of the lack of need in that because of the need in that space for such a product.
And Anthony, actually, I'm glad you mentioned the Keep It, because we have a webinar coming up with you. You're coming back to talk to me again on Thursday. You get to spend your whole week with me, Anthony. Thursday the 18th. It's a good week, right? Like
It is. It's a great week. It's a lot of good conversation too. I think we're gonna have fun with Rick. So
I'm very excited to dig into this one and hear a little bit more about Keep It and Zerto. And that's the 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you all out there are, if your ears kind of perked up and we wanted to hear a little bit more about that, that would be a great one to sign up for. Come back and talk to Anthony again, and we'll have a really fun chat and get to know Keep It Zerto a little bit more. Anthony, we're speaking of webinar, we're sort of nearing the end of our time here today, which is always a bummer. But before we start to wrap things up, I have a couple of sort of wrap up questions for you. One, I'd love to know if you could give us sort of one key takeaway from the conversation we had today, one thing that you think, there's a lot that folks have been hearing from you and learning about. What sort of one idea that you'd like them to walk away mulling over or potentially taking action on?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First and foremost, if you want to know more about, or really whatever you want to learn more about from our perspective, do make sure that you let us know from the survey there, more data sheets, solution briefs, whatever. We're happy to always educate and share information around that stuff. If there's something that I would like you all to take away, good data protection happens in layers, like an ogre or like an onion. And if you want to have, be that big, strong, have that IT infrastructure that is strong like an ogre, then think about disaster recovery, cyber recovery, backup, and how all of these sort of 3 different sort of distinct technologies or disciplines can play together to provide you that in-depth approach to defense. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, reach out. There's demos. There's a whole bunch of tools available to get you started. So don't be shy. Yeah.
I like so be like an ogre. Be as the ogre and onion. This is the key takeaway.
If we got Shrek fans out there, I'd hope so. And then there's one more thing I forget to mention too. HPE Discover is coming up in June.
Yeah.
Make sure that you guys register for that as well. That'll be great.
Where is that this year?
That is in Vegas. That is in Vegas.
Anthony, okay. Well, I clearly need more trips to Vegas in my life, especially because it's very gloomy here right now. So yeah.
Snowy Canada, geez.
Snowy Canada, yes. Everyone sign up to go to Vegas so that I can live through all of you out there. Well, this has been great as always. And I do want to also reference, we were chatting a little bit about the handouts that we have in our handouts tab. So there's the solution brief, really exploring the disaster recovery and backup options with GreenLake. And then there's sort of all the various data protection considerations at HPE, both linked there. Anything else you'd want to add about those handouts?
No, definitely check those out. The web link itself goes to both, Zerto, HPE GreenLink for disaster recovery, as well as backup and recovery. And then the other one goes into a little bit more detail as to the BR solution. So, no, I think we are good to go.
We hit all the things. We did all the things, and we are on time for a change. This is great.
Yes.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us today. It has been such a fun conversation. As always, I cannot wait for Thursday, the 18th. I hope the audience will come back and join us again for that one. And until then, have a great rest of your day, Anthony.
Yes, you as well. Thank you, everybody.
All right, and to everyone out there, if you have not clicked on that survey up on the screen, please do make sure you do that. Get that information to HPE. What would be helpful for you in terms of follow-up? Click on those handouts. And while you're doing all of that, I will give away a prize. We have a $250 Amazon gift card going to someone who is here live and present, and of course, a little bit lucky at the webinar today. And that lucky person is Albert Gustafson from Georgia. Albert Gustafson from Georgia. Congratulations, Albert. Now, as always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap up the webinar. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to once again thank Hewlett Packard Enterprise for making this webinar possible, especially to Anthony. You've given us so much to think about today, and it's always a great time when we get to chit-chat. And speaking of chit-chat, of course, that brings me around to all of you out here with us today. So sending a big high five, a special thank you to our audience here with us for making that conversation possible. We really do appreciate the time that you've taken out of your day to come and chat with us. I think we've gotten some exciting ideas about how we can make sure that we are ensuring the protection of this all-important data. You know, this is, as we said, this is the foundation of our day-to-day. It's the foundation of our growth plans. So this data is so important to our organizational success, and we can all sleep better at night with the right data protection plans, the right disaster recovery and backup strategies and solutions. So please do make sure that you've got those handouts, that you book that time to continue this conversation with Anthony and with HPE, and come back and join us again on Thursday. That's again 3 p.m. Eastern on this week, Thursday, the 18th. Hope to see you all there. And until then, have an absolutely beautiful end to your day, my friends.